so tragic shooting in Parkland, Florida, 17 people dead. Now, people are reacting and fighting back. And the people that are leading the charge, in this case, kids, students, including a demonstration out in front of the White House today. Let me show you some of the pictures. Exactly 17 DC students lie down in front of the White House today, obviously to protest their lack of any action in protecting the kids and doing any type of gun control, and they're asking the White House to take action, and I hope they do. And one of the reasons they said that they were doing it is because they said, look, there's been basically one school shooting every other day in the year 2018. We don't know. It literally could be us tomorrow. That's powerful. All right, now some of the students that were in the last shooting in Florida have spoken out and are continuing to speak out, also saying we must take action. Let's go to student Cameron Caskey first.
My message for the people in office is you're either with us or against us. We are losing our lives while the adults are playing around. And we have received endless support from your generation, and we thank everybody for that immensely because we really appreciate it. We don't need you. On March 24th, you are going to be seeing students in every single major city marching, and we have our lives on the line here. And at the end of the day, that is going to be what's bringing us to victory and to making some sort of right out of this tragedy.
So I'm going to tell you more about that march in a second and give you the information on how you can participate. But now let's go to Emma Gonzalez, another student from the high school.
So what do you say to the NRA?
Disband, dismantle.
And don't make another organization.
Yeah, don't make another organization under a different name. Don't you dare come back here.
Well, I know that, of course, I know for a fact, it's the next story we're going to do for you guys. The conservatives are now attacking the students. But I think that you might have a different point of view if you saw one of your best friends and your classmates getting shot in the head. So I think that these kids are brave. I love that they're speaking out. They are unfortunately right that the adults don't appear to be doing anything. So here's more from Cameron Caskey.
Much more that needs to be done, and much more that people like Marco Rubio and Rick Scott are not doing. And it's scary to think that these are the people who are making our laws when our community just took 17 bullets to the heart. And it feels like the only people who don't care are the people making the laws.
Yeah, it's not that they don't care, to be fair. They just care more about the checks they get from the NRA. That's what corruption looks like. Last one from Emma Gonzalez.
Politicians who sit in their gilded House and Senate seats funded by the NRA telling us nothing could have ever been done to prevent this, we call BS. They say that tougher gun laws do not decrease gun violence. We call BS. They say that no laws could have been able to prevent the hundreds of senseless tragedies that have occurred. We call BS.
Well, I'm going to have some facts to back up what she's saying there in a minute. But first, I want to tell you about the different marches that are going on, how you can participate. The National School Walkout, planned by the Women's March organizers, will be on March 14th at 10 a.m. in each time zone. It calls for students, faculty, parents, and others to walk out of school for 17 minutes, 1 minute for each person who was killed in the Florida school shooting. Here's the website and the Facebook page for them. Obviously, these are complicated URLs. That's okay. We have it down below in the description box on YouTube and in the comment section on Facebook, so you can just click on them. Also, for the next one, this is the one that the students were talking about. The March for Our Lives is scheduled for March 24th. The details are thin right now, but students and activists plan to march on Washington, D.C. and other U.S. cities. I'm quoting Vox there. Here's their websites and Facebook URLs, also in the description box and comment section, depending on where you're watching this. And Vox continues to explain that both the events will focus on calling Congress to act on gun violence, which is very logical. But I mean, it should be the least controversial thing on the planet after this massacre and the one before that and the one, we've had 4 massacres in the last 5 months. I'm not talking about mass shootings. That's almost every day. Massacres, dozens of people shot. You got Sutherland Springs, Texas, where they lost 26 people in a church, 58 people in Vegas. Obviously, Parkland just happened. But it's a controversial position in Washington. The Republicans are like, do something about gun violence? Oh, no way, no way. The NRA pays my bills. I'm not going to touch that if my life depended on it, and it might. Steve Scalise was shot. Comes out, he's like, are the checks still clearing? Yeah, okay, great, I'm still with the NRA. Okay, now here's a third march. The day set for actions is April 20th, which will be the 19th anniversary of the massacre at Columbine High School. Alternate reporting on that third march. The Twitter account for the National School Walkout, which will start on Friday, declares, we are the students, we are the victims, we are change. Their Facebook link is right here. And again, these are easy clicks in the description box. And oftentimes also in the eye, if you scroll over the video, there's an eye that pops up there that will also have the links for you guys whenever we talk about links on YouTube. Okay, now let me give you some of the stats that shows that Emma Gonzalez is right about gun violence in America. The US makes up less than 5% of the world's population, but holds 31% of global mass shooters. That is not an accident, and the rest of the data bear that out. The US has nearly 6 times the gun homicide rate of Canada, more than 7 times that of Sweden, and nearly 16 times that of Germany, according to the United Nations data compiled by The Guardian. Gun deaths are a big reason that America has a much higher overall homicide rate than other developed nations. Turns out we are number one. We're number one in killing ourselves with guns. That is literal, it is a fact. And by the way, this is not, hey, the US has 16 times as many gun homicides than Germany, but we're a bigger country. No, it's per capita, per capita. We kill ourselves with guns at a rate 16 times higher than Germany. You know why? Because there's not a lot of guns in Germany. And there's a ton of guns in America. They get in a fight in Germany, they do. You know why? Because they're humans. And they yell at each other. And maybe they slap or punch each other, and that's terrible. Here in America, we get in a fight, grab a gun, shoot someone, and kill them. That's why our homicide rate is way higher, and we have the mass shootings to boot. Here, let me show you another graph on mass shootings. This is a chart that shows you number of guns in the country and then number of mass shootings. Hey, look at that. Turns out the more guns you have, America is almost off the chart there in the upper right corner. The more mass shooters you have, and the rest of the world is in the lower left corner. They don't have very many guns, and they don't have very many mass shooters. Oh, all of these studies have to be one-offs. Wrong. Let's go to a collection of studies. A 2016 review of 130 studies in 10 countries found that new legal restrictions on owning and purchasing guns tended to be followed by a drop in gun violence, a strong indicator that restricting access to guns can save lives. So you have to repeat these super obvious things because it just will not get through to Republican legislators. Now, federal background checks, don't get me wrong, it gets through the Americans, not just the Democrats, but the Republicans. About 93% of Americans are in favor of universal background checks, but the politicians won't do it. So here's another study. If you say, well, okay, maybe they're just in favor of that one small piece of gun control. Based on Pew surveys, there are way more adults in the US who believe that gun laws should be stricter overall, that's 52%, than those who believe gun laws should be less strict. That's at 18%, that's a tiny minority. But they are so loud, and the money of the NRA is so loud that 18% of the country teaming up with tens of millions of dollars from weapons manufacturers is drowning out the voice of the rest of us. And finally, one more piece of context from German Lopez at Vox. This has happened dozens of times over the years, talking about the shootings and then the protests. The December 2012 shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, in which a gunman killed 20 children, 6 adults and himself, similarly led to calls for action. Since then, there have been more than 1,600 mass shootings, killing more than 1,800 people and wounding more than 6,400. Many of these events led to speeches and events, but Congress refused to budge every time. Will it be different this time? I hope so, and I hope that all the students and their parents and everyone else goes out to these marches and then says, you know what? I'm not going to vote for another Republican or Democrat if they're taking NRA money and selling our kids out and letting them get killed in one mass shooting after another because they'd like another donation from the NRA. We're tired of it. In fact, another story I have in the news for you today is one of the top Republican donors down in Florida said, no mas. I'm not giving the Republicans any more money until they do something about assault weapons. Enough is enough. How many kids have to die? That is a fair question. We should keep asking it until we have the answer from our politicians. You just watched the video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. tytnetwork.com/join.